My millionaire son didn't come to my birthday party. Instead, he sent me a check for $50. 4 days later, I found a box at the door, and what was inside shocked me. I collapsed right there on the porch. It was my birthday. And I waited. My friends left early so I wouldn't pretend I wasn't suffering. I washed the dishes, quietly stacked them, and told myself he was busy, the way rich people are, self-important, absent-minded. 4 days later, I opened the door and saw a box with no return address on the rug. Inside was a neat stack of adult diapers, a brochure titled Simple Cremation with Dignity, No Fuss, No Delays, and a manila envelope stamped Urgent. I remember my knees hitting the porch. I barely remembered what happened next. A neighbor told me about it later. The envelope contained a death deed, my name misspelled by one letter but still legally jeopardized, and my property, my house, the very one with my children's heights penciled into the closet door, was transferred to a trust for my son's holding company. There was also a note written in a stranger's cheerful handwriting. As per Mr. Talbot's instructions, please review and sign. We can send someone to notarize it. Hope you feel better after your episode. The diapers lay like a prophecy. The cremation brochure listed prices, the cheapest ones circled in blue ink. How could my own son send me such a thing? Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel, like it, and let us know in the comments what time it is where you are listening to this story. I must have passed out because when I came to, the neighbor's daughter was holding a wet rag to my forehead, and the box was lying on its side, its contents spilling out like a confession. I told them everything was fine. I asked them to put it all back. My heart was pounding, but my hands were steady. I photographed every page, the label, and everything in the box. I called him. He answered on the second ring in the cheerful tone he usually uses with investors. "Hi, Mom. Will you get my gift?" "What?" I asked. $50 or diapers? He chuckled, as if we were sharing something personal. "The forms are just a precaution. My lawyers say it's reasonable at your age. I'm simplifying things so there won't be a mess when the time comes. You don't like mess." "When the time comes," I repeated. "Are you in such a hurry?" "Don't be dramatic," he said casually. "It's a courtesy. Sign it and I'll arrange the rest. I have meetings." I let the silence hang until his breath rustled. He hates silence when it's not his. "You didn't show up on Saturday?" "I sent the check," he said, symbolically. It symbolized something, yes. I looked at the circled price on the brochure, at the cheerful "without delay." The plan was taking shape like bread dough rising, quietly, inevitably, vividly. "Listen to me," I said. "I'm not going to die. I'm not a thing. I'm your mother." He exhaled through his nose, and there was the sound of a door closing. "Mom, please don't make this more difficult than it needs to be." Hard. The word ignited something cold within me. I ended the conversation before my voice could even falter. Then I put the diapers back in the box, as if returning a gift to a store, and tucked the envelope into the safe along with the deed in my maiden name I'd gotten years ago. I wrote to my neighbor, a retired nurse who knows every staff member in the hospital's emergency room. I wrote to my late husband's friend from the newspaper who loves stories of corruption with clean endings. I hung a camera on the porch. How could I raise a man who thinks I'll go away quietly? The question is, how exactly will he know I'm not leaving? I wiped my lap, brewed strong tea, and called the lawyer. My son loves clean lines. Let him see what a straight line leading to a courtroom looks like. I didn't call again that day. I didn't write. I didn't cry. I was making lists. Ruth arrived with cookies for tea and a notepad. Her gray hair was tucked under a short cap. "Do you want to talk about feelings?" she asked. "Or results?" "Results," I replied. "Feelings later." She nodded. "Here's what we do. Photograph everything, keep the box safe and sound, fingerprint-free if possible, record everything with a camera." She tapped her pen. "And if a notary comes, don't meet him alone." "I wasn't planning on it," I said, pausing. But maybe I should. Ruth raised her eyebrows. You need firmness. I need precision, I said. I need witnesses to everything he calls love. Cal called back that evening. I need documents, he said. I'll be able to contact the logistics company as soon as I get the tracking number. We can also look at Mr. Talbot's documents if he used a holding company. Don't publish them yet, I said. Wait for me. Let me set the table. You've always been hospitable, he said. Let me know when dinner is ready. Mrs. Levin answered on the second ring. Is it urgent? This is an attempt, I said. I'm not dead yet. But it looks like someone is interested. She asked for the invoice, scanned documents, and the assistant's note. Don't sign anything, she said. If a notary comes, you can send them, or if you want to be generous, record the conversation. But don't sign. I want him to retrace his steps, I said. I need to witness what he considers a kindness. You've always had a photographer's eye, she said. Excellent. Position yourself so the camera sees your signatures, not your documents. Keep your power of attorney file handy, and call Adult Protective Services to file a report. The words financial exploitation open doors. Won't that ruin him? I asked. Will the responsibility ruin him? She countered. Or will it save whoever he tries the same thing on next? I slept in the living room with the porch camera feed up on my tablet, the box sealed and labeled, my heart counting time. The night made new promises in the refrigerator's hum and the distant crackle of a train. At dawn, I brewed coffee, braided my hair like the nurse did in the hospital so tape wouldn't catch, and waited. At 9:12 a.m., my phone pinged. A new message from an unknown number. This is Alina. I can swing by at 10 with a notary to help with those forms. Would you like me to bring a copy of the DNR too? A smiley face sat at the end like a thumbtack. I typed, 10 works, bring everything. Then I messaged Ruth and Ms. Levin. I laid out my kitchen like a stage. Paperweight, a clean pen I did not intend to use, my phone face down but recording, and the old vase with peonies so the room would remember beauty. At 9:55, Ruth slipped in through the back, propped her phone against the sugar bowl, and sat at the far end of the table with her knitting as if we were just two women passing time. At 10:03, a woman in sharp flats and a clipboard stepped onto my porch, trailed by a tall man with a wheeled case. I opened the door before they could knock. Alina, she said, hand outstretched. Happy to help. The man smiled with molars. Notary public, he said. We'll get you sorted in a jiffy. I offered coffee. They declined in the practiced way of people who do house calls and know better than to accept anything but signatures. I gestured to the table. I like to read, I said. Slowly. We love a thorough client, Alina said. Her eyes slid to Ruth, then back to me. Would you like privacy? No, I said. Ruth is here for my blood pressure. It fluctuates when I'm stressed. Of course, Alina said, then stacked the papers. Let's start with the transfer on death deed. Super simple. Just means there's no probate when the time comes. Mr. Talbot is the beneficiary via a holding company for tax efficiency. What's the company called? I asked. Talridge Capital Partners, she said lightly. Ruth's needles paused midair. And this do not resuscitate, Alina continued, reduces confusion in a crisis. Mr. Talbot said you prefer no heroic measures. Did he? I said. What else did Mr. Talbot say I prefer? She smiled, but it cracked at the edges. The notary tapped where sticky flags waited like open mouths. I read the deed aloud. I mispronounced my own misspelled name and let the room notice. I asked the notary about his commission date. I asked Alina about the logistics company name on the box I had not moved from the corner. Her eyes flicked toward it, then away. Shall we sign? She asked, keeping her brightness like a shield. Before we do, I said, and reached into the cupboard for a small plastic bag. Inside lay a ring, my mother's thin gold band, worn smooth. I slid it onto my finger and let my hand still. Did you mail me diapers? Alina colored. I order supplies for clients. People find them helpful. I find them instructive, I said, and turned my phone over so the red light faced her. Do you know what else is helpful? Records. Her brightness dimmed. I'm just following instructions. Whose? I asked. And did those instructions include forging my name if I hesitated? The notary bristled. Ma'am, we don't son. I didn't say you did, I said softly. But you brought a signature page detached from the deed and the witness lines are pre-filled. Shall we talk about why? Ruth's knitting clicked once. The room held its breath. Alina's eyes went to the peonies, then the box, then me. Mr. Talbot said you were agreeable, she said finally. I am agreeable, I said. To fairness. The notary shut his case. I'm stepping outside, he said, and did. Alina exhaled. Without the notary, her shoulders lowered by an inch. Look, she said, he's under pressure. There are investors. If he doesn't shore up certain... She stopped herself. Certain what? I asked. She shook her head. I shouldn't say. You already have, I said. You delivered a box that made me faint. You stood in my kitchen with a deed assigning my home to a company I didn't choose. You can keep not saying things, or you can tell me what he's tangled in and whether you want to be on the side of untangling. Her jaw worked. Talridge isn't as liquid as it looks, she said at last. There's an SEC inquiry. He's over-leveraged. He said this was temporary, paperwork, to reassure a lender. He said you'd be taken care of. I am taken care of, I said. By myself. Her eyes went wet. I send my grandmother money, she said abruptly, as if extraneous honesty were the only kind she had left. I took this job because he paid well. Then you know the price of things, I said. Help me, and we will not let him make my life his bridge loan. A long beat. The peonies sagged with their own beauty. Alina nodded once. What do you need? Emails, I said. Delivery instructions. Anything with his name on it that shows he orchestrated this. And your statement that you believed you were following legal orders until you saw the diapers and understood the intent. Her hands shook. He'll fire me. He will, I said. And then he'll blame you when someone asks him why an old woman has a DNR she didn't request and a deed with her name wrong. Or you can resign with a file. There's a difference between being thrown and stepping aside. She swallowed. I'll bring what I can. Bring it tomorrow, I said. And if he sends anyone else, you text me first. The notary reappeared, cheeks flushed with phone calls. We're rescheduling, he said. I need to verify some details. He practically ran to his car. After they left, Ruth set her knitting down and let out a breath that sounded like steam escaping. That was a hook, she said. You reeled her in. Second hook comes later, I said. For him. That night, I wrote a letter to my granddaughter, Lila. She is 19 and stubborn in the direction of goodness. I did not tell her everything. I told her only this. If people come to you with papers about me, tell them to call Miss Levin. Do not sign. Do not agree. Do not apologize for my existence. And at dawn, there was another box. Smaller. He was in a hurry now. This one held a pill organizer, a prepaid phone with his number preloaded, and a schedule printed on corporate letterhead. Hospice consult Wednesday, 2 p.m. I stood on the porch and let the air fill my lungs until the world sharpened. Hospice. For whom? Ruth appeared without being called, as if grief could be smelled like gas. We did the ritual again. Photos, ruler, timestamps. My hands did not shake. I called Adult Protective Services. A woman named Nisha answered. Her voice was soft, but the questions were steel. Did anyone threaten you? They implied I was a mess to streamline, I said. They sent hospice paperwork. That is coercive, she said. We can send an investigator. Do you feel safe? I feel prepared, I said. Send them. Alina texted at noon. Can I come by? I have something. I told her yes, and watched from the window as she approached alone, head down, a backpack slung like high school. Inside, she placed a thumb drive on the table and then her resignation letter beside it. I emailed this to HR, she said. I need a reference. But if I don't do this, I won't like who I am in 5 years. Good, I said. We're choosing our 5-year selves now. The drive contained emails with subject lines that made my heart lurch. Mom, TOD, DNR cues, hospice intake details, tracking numbers. There were invoices from Talridge to a logistics company for consult kit. There was a message from my son to Alina. Make sure the DNR is there. She hates fuss. I forwarded everything to Miss Levin and to Cal. Then I brewed tea for Alina and asked her about her grandmother. She told me about a woman in Omsk who cooked cabbage with bay leaves and sang old songs while she kneaded dough. We sat in the quiet of my kitchen while the house remembered that women survive by telling each other stories. Nisha arrived at 3 with a colleague. They examined the boxes, photographed the labels, copied the emails. "This is a strong case," she said. "We'll open a file and notify law enforcement and your son that any further contact about finances should go through us." "Thank you," I said. "Please also notify the hospice listed that I will not be using their services." Yet, she smiled at the yet. "We see a lot of gray," she said. "This is black and white." That evening, my phone lit up with my son's name. I let it ring into voicemail. He texted, then, "Mom, are you okay? Alina says she brought over some forms, and you seemed confused." Confused, the word walked around my kitchen in dirty shoes. I set the phone down and wrote him a message that said only, "Adult Protective Services has opened a case. All future correspondence should go through Miss Levin." Then I turned the phone off and watched a storm roll across the far edge of town like a curtain. The next day, Cal called at 7 a.m. "We found something," he said. "Talridge's filings show a bridge loan due in 2 weeks. He posted your house as proof of liquidity. He told a lender he had authority." "How?" I asked. "He doesn't." "He has confidence," Cal said. "Sometimes that passes for authority until it doesn't." "I'm ready for until," I said. We set the skewer. Ms. Levin drafted a letter revoking any implied authority, a notice to the lender, and a demand that Talridge cease using my name or property in communications. She filed for a temporary restraining order that barred my son from managing my assets. Nisha's office added their weight. The hospice clinic called to apologize for the consult mix-up. On Friday, I agreed to meet my son in a public place with windows at noon, the time of truth. Ruth sat in a booth behind me. Alina, brave as a first day, sat by the door with a laptop she pretended to work on. Cal ordered coffee and took a table where he could see the reflection in the cafe's framed poster. My son arrived in a suit that looked more expensive than the last time I saw him. His smile was glossy, but there was a tremor at the edges like varnish over wet paint. "Mom," he said, letting his voice carry so strangers would witness his devotion, "you look great." "You missed the party," I said. "But you sent diapers." "That's a memory." He flinched. "That was Alina," he said quickly. "She misunderstood." "I'm sorry." "Alina resigned," I said. "She brought me your emails." He blinked. I watched him calculate whether anger or charm would serve him better. He chose charm. "You're making this adversarial," he said gently. "I'm trying to protect you." "From what?" I asked. "From probate? From mess? From myself?" "From burden," he said. "You taught me to be efficient." "I taught you to show up," I said. "You didn't." The waiter delivered water. My son waited for him to leave before taking a folded paper from his jacket. "If you won't sign the deed, just sign this letter," he said, sliding it across. "It says I can speak to your doctors." HIPAA makes everything impossible, I read. It did that and more. It also authorized access to my medical records and permitted him to make appointments on my behalf if I were overwhelmed. I slid it back. "No." "Mom," he said, low now, the gloss cracking. "I need this." "To do what?" "To fix things," he said. "There's a liquidity issue." "It's temporary?" "Does the SEC think so?" I asked. He froze. "Who told you that?" "The same person who told me you called hospice," I said. "The person who used to sleep with the door open because he was afraid of the dark." The person I raised, his eyes flashed. You don't understand how the world works, he snapped. Everything is collateral. Everything is leverage. You're sitting on dead money. I'm sitting in a cafe, I said. You're the one drowning. He leaned in, voice ablade. Sign something, he said. Anything, or I swear I'll— You'll what? I asked softly, aware of Ruth's breath behind me, Alina's stillness, Cal's pen not moving. Call hospice? Send diapers? Tell the world your mother is confused? He sat back hard enough to rattle the sugar packets. Then he smiled, bright again, the quick change of a man used to buying time. This is exhausting, he said. Let's reset. Dinner Sunday? No, I said. Court Monday. He laughed, a sound with no air in it. You wouldn't? I already did, I said. You'll receive papers this afternoon. Adult Protective Services will call as well. There will be reporters. You can choose what you want to be in their stories. His mouth opened, closed. He stood. You're unbelievable, he said. No, I said. I'm your mother. After he left, I slid the untouched letter into a folder labeled with the date. Alina came to the table and sat as if she'd been invited all along. I'm sorry, she said. For my part? I'm glad for your change, I said. It matters. Cal tapped his cup. You gave him a clean line, he said. We'll see if he crosses it. He did. That evening, my bank called to confirm an attempted login from an IP address registered to Talridge. The next morning, a man with a slick tie knocked on my door, claiming to be from a senior wellness initiative, asking to update my file. I closed the door, called Nisha, and forwarded the porch camera footage. By afternoon, the restraining order was served. My son's assistant's replacement called to clarify my wishes. I told her my wishes, accountability, in writing. The second hook slid in smooth. The Chronicle ran Cal's story on Tuesday. Bridge loans and broken bonds when wealth leans on family. My son's name was there, along with quotes from Adult Protective Services about exploitation patterns and a polite refusal from the hospice to participate in third-party arranged consults without patient consent. There was a photo of my porch camera still, the box on the mat like a small coffin for decency. The article did exactly what it should. It told the truth without making me a spectacle. Phones ring differently when truth is public. Former colleagues of my son called to say nothing on the record, but everything between the lines. One sent me a screenshot of a group chat where my son typed, "She's being stubborn. Old people don't know what's best for them." And another replied, "This will look bad." I printed everything and made a new folder. Outcomes. He tried one last thing. A letter arrived by courier, urgent, offering an apology in the first paragraph and a confession in the second. He had used my name to calm a nervous lender. He hadn't meant harm. He would return the $50. He wrote that like it was a jewel, and he would enroll me in a premium care service. He asked me to consider our family history. Our history is pencil marks in the pantry, trips to the ER, borrowed cars, long nights at the kitchen table teaching him to see his own errors before a teacher did. Our history is not a bridge loan. Ms. Levin filed the suit. Nisha's office filed their report. The lender retracted their term sheet and issued a statement about verifying authority in elder cases. The hospice sent flowers I actually liked, lilies that smelled like a memory without a threat. The diapers went back to the logistics company with a note. No fuss. Full delay. When the hearing came, he didn't look at me. He looked at the judge, at the ceiling, at the door. He did not recognize my handwriting in the margins of my own life, the notes that saved me. Trust binder in maiden name, porch camera settings, Ruth's spare key. The judge read the emails, the texts, the invoices. She asked my son to explain the diapers. For recovery, he said. She's incontinent. I stood. I am not, I said. I am angry. The courtroom laughed softly, then hushed fast. The judge's face did not change. Sit, Ms. Talbot, she said gently. We'll get there. We did. The order barred him from my finances and my medical decisions. The court appointed a monitor to ensure compliance. The SEC inquiry ripened from rumor to letter. Talridge issued a bland press release about restructuring. Investors stopped taking his calls. Danielle, the fiancée, posted a photograph of a beach with a caption about new beginnings that did not mention him. For a while, silence replaced his voice in my house. Silence and the soft courage of ordinary days. And then the doorbell rang. I opened it to find him on the porch, thinner, his suit a little too large, his eyes finally looking at me instead of past me. "I'm here to return this," he said, and held out the $50 check. It was crumpled at the edges, as if time had tried to eat it. "Keep it," I said. "You may need it." He laughed once, not graciously. "I won't pretend," he said. "I did what I did." "I thought it would be clean. I thought you'd understand." "I do understand," I said. "That's why I stopped you." He looked past me into the house, at the pantry door with its pencil marks, at Ruth's knitting on the chair, at the peonies long since replaced by a plant that thrives on neglect. "Do you want me to leave?" he asked. "I want you to change," I said. "Leaving is easy." He stayed on the porch. "I don't know how," he said. "Every room I walk into now, I hear the story before I speak." "That's a beginning," I said. "Hearing your own echo." He swallowed. "What do you want me to do?" "Start with 3 calls," I said. "One to the lender, admitting what you did. One to the hospice, apologizing for using their name. One to Alina, thanking her for leaving." He nodded, surprised that the rope I handed him was made of verbs, not absolutes. "And you?" "I want you to attend a birthday party," I said. "On time, with empty hands." He came on Sunday. He brought nothing but a willingness to stand in a room where he was not the richest person. He poured coffee. He listened to Ruth tell a story about a patient who taught her to knit between chemo sessions. He looked at the pantry door and didn't measure himself against his childhood height. He didn't apologize to me again. He apologized to the room. It isn't forgiveness yet. Forgiveness requires a kind of amnesia I don't own. But it is justice, and justice has its own quiet sweetness. The lawsuit proceeds. The restraining order remains. He texts me weather updates and photos of meals he cooks for himself. Simple, a man learning how to feed his own hunger without devouring anyone else's. He sends no checks. Sometimes I take out the diaper box receipt and look at the numbers. The way the circled cremation price still glows faintly where the ink pressed hard. Numbers can be honest. So can endings. Mine is not a triumph you can frame on a wall. It is a key I still hold. It is a house with pencil marks that will outlast all our urge to be efficient. It is a porch camera blinking red, a reminder that safety is not a product someone can buy for you, but a practice you build for yourself. When I fall asleep now, I do not see the beige stack in the box. I see my mother's ring, the way it steadied on my finger when I asked Alina the only question that matters. Whose instructions are you following? I ask it of myself, too, when sorrow tries to make me efficient with my heart. Whose voice do I obey? The answer these days is simple. Mine. And if another box ever arrives promising no fuss, no delay, I will open it with my camera on and my hands steady. I will log the time. I will call Ruth. I will make tea. I will write down the names of every person who thinks a mother is a ledger. Then I will do what I did this time. I will choose delay. I will choose all the fuss required to keep a life. Because you cannot streamline a woman who saved your life by giving you one. You can only learn your way back to her, or you can meet a judge. Either way, there will be a record. I prefer records. They tell the story exactly as it happened, down to the second box on the second morning, the second hook that turned a son's plan into a lesson. He will remember long after the bridge loans are due and the investors lose interest. That is my revenge. Not ruin without purpose, but instruction with teeth. Justice that arrives on time, signed by the person who was supposed to be erased, initials neat in the margin where they belong. MT, present. And the next time my birthday comes, I will slice the cake myself. I will serve it on the good plates. If he is there, he will have a piece. If he is not, the cake will still be sweet. The house will keep its own counsel. The porch will be clean. The camera will blink. I will lock the door when I am ready, not because I am afraid, but because I built a life worth protecting, and I plan to live it to the last crumb. The last thing I kept from that box was the pamphlet. I didn't keep it to brood over. I kept it to remind me that other people's timelines have nothing to do with mine. When I am finally ready for no fuss, I will decide what that means. Until then, there will be all the fuss I want. There will be lilies that smell like good memories, not threats. There will be neighbors who knock without asking when they hear a scream. There will be women like Alina who change course before the current takes them. There will be judges who ask about diapers with a face that does not flinch. There will be boys who learn, and there will be this house with its pantry door and its drawer full of recorded truths, and a mother who answered her own question, how could my son do this? With the only answer that freed her, he did. And I did not let him. I chose to be a mess he could not streamline. I chose justice, and it fit. That is how I survived a porch box. Not by fainting on the boards and staying down, but by cataloging, by calling, by opening the door to the right people and closing it to the wrong. By remembering that love is not a line item and motherhood is not collateral, by keeping the good plates for myself and inviting anyone worth the trouble to eat from them with clean hands. This is not the ending he circled. It is the one I signed. No fuss, all delay, every necessary minute accounted for on my terms, in my hand. Do you think I did the right thing? Let me know in the comments. If you liked my story, subscribe to the channel and like it. Thank you for listening to this story.
My grandma told me this story. I have many more stories. Subscribe so you don't miss the most interesting things.